Hello friends and fam, enlightened beings, Hardcore Yogi here. So this video it's about pranayama exercises. So in the last video we covered what is pranayama and the benefits of pranayama, and that just looked at the very wide-reaching benefits of learning to breathe well. So in this video we're going to get very practical and look at what I believe are a few very high leverage breathing practices or pranayama practices, and if you can master these several breathing practices, I believe you've mastered most of the main skills needed for breathing. You've sort of learned to turn every lever into each extreme direction, and you will have a very well-rounded breath. So let's crack into it. The first pranayama technique I will share is box breathing. So box breathing, it does have some roots as an ancient pranayama technique. The yogis used to call it fluctuating breath. Box breathing is a bit more of a modern term, but I want to start with box breathing. I think it's a very good foundation. So box breathing acknowledges that there are four components of the breath. These four components are the inhale, then internal retention, where we hold at the top, then the exhale, and then external retention, where we hold at the bottom. So that is four components of the breath. And with box breathing, we put those four components into a certain ratio. The ratio is 1-1-1-1. So for example, that would be 5 seconds of inhaling, then 5-second hold at the top, 5 seconds of exhaling, then 5-second hold at the bottom, and then you repeat that. Now, breathing in this way, with that ratio, it does have some specific physiological effects. It brings a lot of coherence to the brain and the body. Different parts of the brain communicate with each other very well. And it also brings a very deep sense of relaxation and focus. Even the military uses this technique. They call it tactical breathing. It can just help to center oneself and get their marksmanship on point. So that is box breathing. But you can alter this technique slightly, and here we'll go to the next technique, which we'll call fluctuating breath. So this is where we can alter that ratio. So we had it at 1-1-1-1. You can change those numbers a little bit. Generally, when you alter the numbers, you will alter it so the exhale is longer than the inhale. This has the effect of just helping to relax the nervous system even more, bringing us back into parasympathetic. So for example, the ratio could become 1-1-2-1. So that would be inhale for 5, hold for 5, exhale for 10, hold for 5. That's a ratio of 1-1-2-1. You can even make the ratio 1-1-2-2. So you're holding for 10 seconds at the bottom as well. Generally, as you get more advanced in this technique, you will extend the exhale to be longer and longer, and even the breath holds to be longer and longer. So yeah, you can alter the ratio. But you can also alter the number itself. So you could have it as, 5-5-10-5, or you could even have it as like 10-10-20-10, okay? So you can alter the ratio, and you can also just alter the total number of seconds for each part of that breath. So that is the fluctuating breath. And as you develop in this, you find you can actually breathe less and less. You can hold your breath longer. You don't need to be inhaling and exhaling as often. And that is the peak of fitness, when you can do more with less. You can sustain yourself more with less breath because you have become very efficient with your breathing. So you can breathe less. Okay, moving on to the next pranayama technique. It will be Kapa Bhatti, breath of fire. So Kapa Bhatti is essentially when you breathe very fast for a certain period of time. With Kapa Bhatti, which is an ancient yogic pranayama technique, You inhale all the way, so I forgot one very important component of the last technique, the fluctuating breath and box breathing. The other really important component is learning to take very full and complete breaths with each breath. Here's a great tool for doing that. With your breath, there are 3 parts of the breath. Most people may unconsciously just engage 1 or 2 parts, but there are 3 parts and we want to engage all 3 when we do box breathing. So the first part we can call diaphragmatic breathing or belly breathing. And this is seen when you inhale and your belly pokes out. That is belly breathing. Then the second one is intercostal breathing. And that is seen when the rib cage and the lats expand outwards. So that's phase number 2. Then third is chest breathing. So that is seen when the chest broadens. So when you do your breathing, you want to learn how to engage all 3 of those. You want to see the belly fill out, then the rib cage and lats fill out, and then the chest open up and fill out. So there's 3 main parts, and you can focus on each of those in your box breathing. Then on the exhale, you witness each of those parts sink inwards and compress. Now, the order of those, when you inhale, it'll generally be the order of 1, 2, 3, bottom to top. When you exhale, you can exhale in either direction. You may compress the belly first, or you may compress the chest first on the exhale. The order is not that important for the exhale. Okay, so in the next technique, looking at Kapa Bhatti, which translates to breath of fire, it's essentially fast breathing. More specifically, you would inhale all the way, say fill 100% of your lungs. Then you will sharply exhale about the top 50%, sharply exhale that top 50%, then sharply inhale to 100, sharply exhale 50%, sharply inhale to 100. And you do your inhale and exhale through the nose. So the tempo might sound something like this. Or you could go a bit faster or a bit slower, that's up to you. So yeah, you do that fast breathing, you might do 20 or 40, somewhere in that range, even a bit less if you wish. And then it's great practice, I believe, to do breath holds in between your round of fast breathing. So you may do your 20 fast breaths in and out through the nose, then you would exhale 100%, then you can inhale 100%, then hold at the top. Then you may hold for up to a minute, as long as you want, 1 minute, 2 minutes, even 30 seconds. Do a breath hold. You can do your breath hold at the top of the breath, or you can you exhale, then hold at the bottom of the breath. Now, doing this breath holding, it's really good for us. It just helps to balance out the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. You see, when we do the sharp inhale and exhale, increasing our breath rate, it engages the sympathetic nervous system, it engages fight or flight, it increases our alertness, our energy, our circulation. But if we just breathe fast and leave it at that, we might be a bit highly strung. Yeah, when you get that stimulation, that circulation with that fast breathing, then you exhale all the way, then you inhale and hold. That holding starts to relax the nervous system. So you've got more energy in your system now, but now the holding relaxes it and calms it. And you just get this beautiful balance of being alert and energized, yet also relaxed. That is the name of the game in yoga. We're not too highly strung and awake. We're not too sleepy, falling asleep. Our energy is very balanced. So that's why we do the fast breathing and the breath holding. One other caveat is when you do a breath hold on the top of the inhale versus on the exhale. So when you breath hold at the bottom of the exhale, I find it has an extra calming and relaxing effect. Whereas when you hold at the top of the inhale, it has a more stimulating effect. You feel more wide awake, you feel full of energy. And you can even do one, then the other in consecutive rounds. That can be a good practice to do. I generally like to do my breath hold on the exhale first, then inhale second. So yeah, but you can play with that. Okay, so moving on from Kapa Bhatti, we move towards Wimhoff breathing method. Now, this is not an ancient pranayama. It's more like a pretty new breathing method developed by the Iceman Wimhoff. It is very similar to Kapa Bhatti. It's very similar to what I just described with Kapa Bhatti, Breath of Fire, but a few little differences we can look at. So yeah, Wim Hof really popularized that method of like the fast breathing and the breath hold at the end. I think he really helped to popularize the breath hold. That was really cool. Another minor difference is inhaling and exhaling through the nose versus the nose and mouth. So it seems like Wim Hof, he doesn't strictly only do nostril breathing, like what happens with Breath of Fire. From my take on it, he seems to allow inhaling through the mouth and the nose, or maybe just the nose, then exhaling through the mouth and nose. So he allows the inclusion of the mouth. Now, I don't think it's ideal to ever breathe in solely through the mouth. You either want it to be nose and mouth, or just nose. So the difference between those two styles is, when you breathe in only through the nose, there will be less oxygen intake, but cleaner oxygen, purer, because there are filters in our nasal cavities. When you allow breathing in through the mouth, you just get more oxygen more quickly. It can be more stimulating, but it's just not as pure, the air. It's not as filtered. So you can also play with those differences. So that's the Wim Hof breathing method. And the last technique I'll share here is Nadi Shodhan Pranayam, which means alternate nostril breathing. So with this technique, you're essentially closing off one nostril. So you can close off your left nostril, you breathe in through the right at the top, then you swap nostrils, exhale out through the left. Then you inhale in through the left, swap nostrils, exhale out through the right. And you're doing it in this alternating circular way, okay? Always inhaling and exhaling through one nostril. So this has a couple of different effects. The first effect, I'll go more on the sort of yogic viewpoint, which is that each of these nostrils, they are very connected with two major nadis in our body, the Ida Nadi and the Pingala Nadi. These are two of three major nadis that run through the center line. The other one is the Sushamna Nadi. The Sushamna Nadi just goes up through our center line along the spine pretty much. It is like our spinal cord. Then the Ida and Pingala, they connect in through each nostril. Then they sort of zigzag, they swirl through each chakra. And the Ida Nadi is associated with our inner yang energy, the masculine energy, which adds heat to the body, physical energy, activity. Whereas the Pingala Nadi, the more yin side of us, it is associated with cooling, relaxing, and inner reflection. And the theory here is that when we inhale in through just say the right nostril, we are essentially sort of clearing and engaging the Ida Nadi, which is the Yang Nadi. So we are sort of increasing the heat, the activity in the body. Exhale through the Pingala. Then when we inhale through the Pingala, we are essentially clearing and activating that more Yin Nadi, which is having a cooling effect, relaxing and yin effect. So we're essentially clearing and then balancing out the gateway for these masculine and feminine energies within us. You know, we're balancing out our yin and yang, our heat, our cool, our engagement, and our relaxation. So yeah, that's one big part of Nadi Shodhan Pranayam. The other part of it is, here's the other effect which I feel. Well, for one, you're just sort of cleaning out your nasal cavities, right? You're cleaning out your nasal cavities. But Also, I find that when you restrict the cavity in which air can come through, so you've got a smaller hole for the oxygen to come in, it seems to sort of awaken and engage the breathing muscles on a new level. It's like, because there is some restriction, the breathing muscles, they need to work harder. You need to be more conscious of the breathing muscles to get the oxygen through. So you're essentially strengthening your diaphragm and your awareness of all of your breathing muscles and the cavities in which the oxygen goes. So, yeah, that's another benefit of the alternate nostril breathing. So one is you're balancing out the yin and yang forces through those two nadis, and also cleaning out the nasal cavity, and also engaging your breathing muscles more. I find this has a very relaxing effect, this technique. Yeah, very relaxing for myself. One more caveat I'll add to it is cleaning out the nasal cavity. So when you do this, you might notice that one nostril is a bit more blocked than the other. That's actually very common, and you may notice at different times of day, a different a different nostril is relatively more open or blocked. In the daylight, often your right nostril will be more open, because that's when the Ida Nadi is more active. And at night, the opposite. You may find that the Pingala Nadi is more open, your left is more open, your right is more closed. But here's a cool technique for opening the nasal cavity if you find that you are a bit blocked there. You can do a neti pot. I did this in India when I did my yoga teacher training there. It was really fun. Each morning you get this little pot, put salty water in it, and then you tip it through your left nostril and it comes out your right nostril. Then you tip it through your right nostril, it comes out your left nostril. An important thing, do not inhale through the nose while doing that technique, or you'll inhale the water. So I would suggest either hold your breath, or you can breathe in through the mouth only when you do it. Probably better not to breathe. Also, use pure water. I wouldn't recommend tap water. Use either filtered water or spring water. Okay, I think that sums it up. They're the pranayama techniques I've shared with you. So first we had the box breathing, getting our ratio 1-1-1-1. Then the fluctuating breath, playing with the ratio 1-1-2-1, 1-1-2-2, breathing into the three different major areas. Then we had the breath of fire, the Wimhoff breathing method, so breathing fast followed by long holds. And then we had Nadi Shodhan Pranayam, alternate nostril breathing. Hope that you enjoy those techniques, those practices. I hope you get after that pranayama. Thank you, much love. Namaste.